Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the literature session of Genius Learning Academy. Today, I'm going to conduct an introductory session with you. Here my aim is to describe you what literature is first, right? So, first, let's understand what literature in language is. So, I'm reminding you, children, if you have friends, you can ask them to join, right? Okay, so first let's understand what literature is. Look at these points. Literature is a group of work of art made up of work. We tell literature that it's a group of work of art, right? It is also a form of art which is made up of words. We now normally we do art forms using different things. We do paintings, handwork, but here we do this artwork using words. Next one, it is mainly based on our creative imagination. So, literature is totally based on our creative imagination. You know, children, that everyone can imagine, right? Everyone can think about something, but everybody cannot imagine in a creative way. Okay, everybody can be a writer, but everybody cannot be a creative writer. So creative imagination is very important in literature. uh, you can also read J.K. Rowling's commencement speech. You know who J.K. Rowling is? J.K. Rowling is the author of Harry Potter books. Okay, Harry Potter series. So you can read J.K. Rowling's commencement speech. You can watch it through YouTube, right? There she describes clearly what imagination is, right? How she wrote Harry Potter series based on her imagination. And also there she emphasizes another point, that is failure, right? How failure finally led to success. So, imagination and failure as concepts she has brought out in her commencement speech. Once again, I'm reminding you, you can read it or you can watch it through YouTube. Next one. The term literature is derived from the Latin word literatura or literatura. So, according to this one, the word literature is derived from the Latin words. These are the two Latin words you find. Uh, they give the meaning writing formed with letters. We know that there are so many words derived from English language. Okay, because we like to borrow so many things. Even when um British invaded Sri Lanka, after that we borrowed so many things from their culture to our culture. Likewise, uh, language, English language also has borrowed so many things from other languages like Latin and French. So, as a result of that, this word literature comes from a Latin word which means writing formed with letters. Next one. English literature refers to the study of texts from around the world written in English language. So, Putta, here when we study English literature, we study different types of texts which were written by different authors. Authors belong to different cultures. For an example, if we are reading Indian literature, there now we find, especially in novels, poems, we find Indian culture, right? Sometimes the names of gods, the names of goddesses, and there are cultural elements, there are literature, uh, and also there are religion, right? So these things are highlighted. So likewise, when it comes to different texts belong to different cultures, they emphasize the culture, so we can learn about other cultures as well. Okay, next one. types of text, genres of literature. So there are different types of text, or we call them genres of literature, such as poetry, prose, fiction, and drama. So these are the four basic parts in literature: poetry, prose, fiction, and drama. Okay, right. So, and if you like to participate in the next sessions, because many students informed us that they are unable to join today's session because of other classes. So, I think Imasha, am I correct?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, Pute. So, if you wish to participate for the other sessions, you can just send a message including your name, phone number, and your grade and your score. Okay, so after that, you will be added to the relevant classroom. Okay, let me
Okay,
know
miss.
whether you are following local syllabus or Cambridge syllabus.
Local syllabus, miss.
Okay, what's your grade? Imasha, right?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, what's your grade, Pute?
I'm in grade 11.
Grade 11. Alright, so if you have friends, you can ask them to join now as well. Okay,
Okay, miss.
right. Uh, Look at this one. As I told you, types of text, genres of literature. It's important to learn the types of text. We have poetry, fiction, prose, and drama. After that, let's identify what are these types of texts, right? Um, when it comes to poetry, uh, poetry is written to share ideas, express emotions, and create imageries with the use of distinctive styles and rhythms. So, according to this one, um, poetry is written to share ideas. Writers write poems in order to share their opinions, ideas, and also to express their emotions, right? Their feelings. Sometimes to express happiness, sometimes to express sadness, sometimes uh, a strange emotion also we can say curiosity, right? Revenge. So those things are also expressed through poems. And as I told you, now J.K. Rowling wrote a Harry Potter series. She started writing while she was traveling by train, within a train journey. So likewise, many poets write ideas based on their experience. Okay, that is important. And also create imageries. You know what the imageries means? uh, Literary devices that the writers use, right? So imageries can uh, appeal to five human senses. We know that we have five human senses, right? Sense of seeing, sense of hearing, sense of feeling, sense of tasting, right? So these are the five human senses that we have. So through poetry, poets try to appeal these five human senses, right? They try to create imageries. Okay, so that is important. Then with the use of distinctive styles and rhythms, in poems we find different styles, different forms of poems are there, right? uh, the very first poem that you find in grade 11 appreciation book, To the Nile, it's a sonnet, right? So that is a form of a poem. Sonnet means in a sonnet there are 14 lines. First 8 lines are called an octave, and last 6 lines are called a sestet. And also likewise with that we have different forms in poetry, different styles that authors have used. And also we find rhythms, right? So through the rhythm in poetry, they try to express their emotions as well, right? Based on the structure of poems, they try to express their emotions as well. So that is important. Prose. Prose is a verbal or written language that follows the natural flow of speech without any structure. Now, when it comes to a prose, um, children, according to this one, it is more informal. It's not formal. There we find most of the time spoken language, sometimes written language as well. It follows a natural flow of speech. It doesn't have any structure. It is also, most of the short stories also in forms of process, right? There we everybody can read it, everybody can understand it. So in process we find dialogues, right? So but without any specific structure, right? Then next one, fiction. Look at it. A fiction is a story invented by the imagination. A fiction is a story invented by the imagination. Once again, it's an imaginative story, right? It deals with fantasy all the time. We can say it's a made up story. A fiction is not a real story, it's a made up story. And next one, it is an invented story in a form of a prose. It's also like a prose, it's an invented story. There also you find dialogues, there also you find characters, right? Different themes are there. So we can say a short story or else a fiction is also similar to a prose. Next one, drama. A drama is a type of literature that is written for the purpose of being performed in front of an audience, including characters, dialogues, plots, etc. Okay, so what do you mean by a drama? It's a type of literature that is written for the purpose of being performed on the stage. Especially, we have a lot of Shakespearean dramas. Okay, Macbeth, Hamlet, Othello, Julius Caesar. Likewise, there are great plays written by uh, William Shakespeare. We consider William Shakespeare as the greatest writer of English language, and also he is considered like the father of English literature as well. So here uh, we uh, can say that uh, drama as a type of genre of literature is written for the purpose of being performed on the stage in front of an audience. So it includes characters, we find different characters, we find dialogues, and also plots, subplots, right? The stories, and also while reading, we can understand the themes, the techniques that the writers has used, right? Okay, so here I wanted to explain different types of text in literature: poetry, prose, fiction, and drama. All right. Then let's discuss some movements that affected English literature. Today I'm not going to have a lengthy session because today I thought of having the introductory session, but many students informed that they were unable to join during this time. Okay, so Imasha, are you in the literature group, Puta?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so I will send a message to the group so you can send your details to the relevant number that is mentioned there. Okay, and also if your
Okay,
friends
miss.
are there, those who wish to join for the next sessions, you can include their numbers as well, because we need to confirm the participation of the students and we need to categorize the students according to their grades. So if your friends are there, those who are unable to join today, you can mention their name. Since we not having phone number, we can add them if we have the phone number to the group. Name, phone number, and the class. It's important to add to the relevant group. Okay, if your friends are there. Right. So today's session, let's continue up to 8:30. So movements that affected literature is important, Putha, because here it says there are so many periods of English literature, right? So it gradually actually increased, we can say. Okay, we have old English literature, then we have middle English literature, then we have English Renaissance period. So if you have studied Renaissance, that means the rebirth, economical, political, rebirth of art and architecture. So whole world again was given a rebirth during Renaissance, right? So not only literature, art, architecture, everything uh, was given a new form during this era, right? Then we have Restoration Age, then we have Romantic period. When we say romantic period, it doesn't mean that, love between two partners, but it means that the relationship between man and nature, that is very important. As a result of this industrialization, we have Romanticism. So man was more into, uh, uh, nature was his best companion. During Romantic period, many romantic poets came up, and Victorian literature after that we find as the next era. Finally, modern period, right? Modern period. Um, so many things affected these periods, children. Okay, so let's discuss two. First, industrialization. I'm going to tell you how industrialization affected uh, literature. Okay, so look at the first point. It began in Great Britain in the mid to the late 70s. So, this industrialization began in Great Britain. Okay, that is important. In the mid to late 70s, it is a process by which economy was transformed. So according to this one, the concept industrialization or the movement industrialization, the economy of the world was transformed, right? The manual labor of people was replaced by machinery works, children, machines. Okay, and we can say even during this time, child labor was introduced, right? People were running after money. People who were engaged in cultivation, farming, they left their farms and they went to the cities. They left their farms in the villages and they left to the cities to do work in factories, right? To work in factories. So, likewise, society changed. People were so tired after working in the factories, okay, and they addicted to alcohol. Women engaged in prostitution, so they did not follow any religion. The whole, we can say, society was corrupted during this time, right? Uh, so, children, according to this one, we can say we can view industrialization as a good period when it comes to the economical rise, right? But on the other hand, when we think about the values of people, we can say that industrialization is a harsh movement, bad movement, right? So, writers who understood these negative aspects of industrialization, they came up during this time, right? They were against industrialization. Okay, so that is there. And next one, manual labor was replaced by machines. So the first machine, the first printing machine was invented by Johannes Gutenberg. With that, many machines were invented. As a result of that, people manual labor was replaced by the machines. Next one, child labor was common. So children during this time were forced to work, right? Children were forced to work, especially in factories. They were given salaries, but not equally uh, to the adults, not equal to the adults. So during this time, actually, children, even there were children who were used as chimney sweepers. Chimney sweepers means in churches, in ancient churches, and also along the road. We find there were chimneys. Nowadays we have lights, we have lamps, but earlier there were chimneys, right, to give light. Now children were used to clean those chimneys, right? So child labor, which is not ethical, which is unlegal, was common during this time. So many writers were against child labor, and they wrote many literary works, poems, novels based on this, right? Best example, you can read the poem, I'll type it here. London. Poem London uh, shows the bleak side of the city London as a result of this industrialization. Okay, and next one, the emergence of capitalism. So as a result of industrialization, people were money minded. They were running after money. They were so tired, but they were running after money. So capitalistic society came up during this time. Capitalism was introduced, right? As a result, what happened? Social classes were built, right? First class, second class, third class. Working class was considered as the third class. People were separated among themselves, right? That's why I told you, even though they had money, even though economy was transformed, they their lives were corrupted, right? They did not have values in their lives. Next one, European imperialism. That means many European countries invaded, conquered different lands, right? So imperialism also caused industrialization. Next one, effort to mine coal. That means most of the, especially we can say men, engage in mining, right? So there are different literary works based on mining, coal work, right, children? In Sinhala we call Patal Kenima Gallanguru Karmante. So if you can read the short story Order of Chrysanthemums, there the writer D.H. Lawrence clearly shows how my industrialization affected people. So Order of Chrysanthemums is a short story which revolves around a woman. Her husband is a miner. Okay, so how people suffered from industrialization is clearly mentioned there. Then, and the effects of agricultural revolution. Agricultural revolution also caused industrialization. Okay, so these things are important when it comes to industrialization. Okay, after that, let's discuss about romanticism in literature also. Romantic period is very important. Uh, it occurred between 1798 and 1837. During this time, writers sought to escape, or ignore the industrial society around them. During this time, what happened? I told you, romanticism means not love between two partners, but it is the relationship between man and nature most of the time. That's what the writers wanted to emphasize during this time, and they wanted to escape, they wanted to ignore the industrial society around them. Okay, as I told you, most of the writers viewed industrialization as a bad, as a harsh movement, the negative sides of industrialization. So they wanted to ignore it, escape from it, right? Then they mainly focused on emotions and nature. When they in their literary works, they mainly focused on emotions, feelings of people during industrialization, how values were decreased, right? How people neglected religion, right? How they became money minded. So, those things based on emotions are highlighted in many literary works, and also nature is emphasized. Nature was the best companion of man during Romantic era. Okay, and next one, it was characterized by celebration of common man. So during Romantic period, always individualism of was highlighted, right? Common man's feelings were celebrated because they were ignored by this industrialized in society. Understand? And also a focus on individual experience. The writers were more into individualism. That is a major theme during this time. And also solitary life. Solitary life also. They wrote many literary works about loneliness, solitary life, right? So if we read the poem Solitary Reaper, there you can understand the loneliness. It is about a beautiful lady who is reaping in the middle of the field, and the speaker of the poem is listening, is walking, uh, passing the field, and he listens the song of this girl, Solitary Reaper, right? So through that he can understand the agony, the loneliness, the suffering of the girl. So solitary life, lonely life, or loneliness is highlighted during this romantic period. And love and worship of nature, love towards nature was highlighted, and also nature was given divinity, right? We know God owns divinity, but here nature was given the characteristic divinity. During this time they worshipped nature. Nature was their lover, nature was their god, nature was their friend, right? Best companion. Next one, writers in the Romantic period are William Wordsworth, Percy Bysshe Shelley, William Blake, John Keats, Lord Byron, etc. So there are many romantic poets, romantic writers, nature poets also sometimes we say. William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth always thought that nature was his best companion, right? When man is so unhappy, nature can make us happy. If you can read the poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, it clearly shows uh, uh, how daffodils, right? As flowers, daffodils flowers as one aspect in nature can bring happiness to man than wealth. Okay, and also Percy Bysshe Shelley, William Blake, John Keats. John Keats is very important because John Keats always tried to exaggerate the beauty of nature, right? John Keats praised the beauty of nature, right? There are so many poems, To the Nile, and also to Autumn. Autumn is not a beautiful season, because after autumn, what is the season that we get? After autumn we get winter. Okay, so winter is a dull season for them. According to this one, now during autumn what happened? Environment, the nature is getting ready to winter, right? The trees are fallen, sometimes trees are red, the leaves of the trees becomes red, then yellowish, pale yellowish color. Likewise, we find that the whole nature is getting ready to winter. So autumn is not a beautiful season, it's a dull season, right? But John Keats exaggerates. If you read Ode to Autumn, you can understand he exaggerates the beauty of this season. He gives insignificant aspects significance. Understand? So that is important when it comes to romantic period. Okay, so I'm not going to spend much time today, as many students inform that they are having classes um, during this time today. Today, we will send a message to the group. If you wish to participate for the other online sessions of English literature, you can send your details, as I told you, your name, your grade, and your class. And also, you can ask your friends. And since they haven't joined here, their phone numbers, so that we can add them to the group. Okay, then God bless you. Have a nice day.